And so my family was like, they were proud that he was my boyfriend. And so when I called the police on this, and I didn't call the police all the time.
Willie D Live.
And I remember one time, I was in law school, so it's actually remarkable that I was able to do as well as I did in law school, considering I was in an abusive relationship and had a young child, and I was a single mom, even though he was there at times. But I remember one day I came home from law school and I was studying. They give you so much homework in law school, and my son was one time he jumped on me, and I thought he was going to kill me. I was able to call 911, and the police came and arrested him. My mother ended up calling me later that evening, and people liked him. He was 7'1". He got drafted by the Sixers. He didn't end up playing with the Sixers, but he ended up going overseas. So he and Carl Herrera, Stanley, what's Stanley's name? He played for LSU. I can't remember his name right now. They were all playing about the same time. And so my ex ended up going to Spain. So our son was born in Spain, in Malaga, Spain. So he played in the Spanish version of the NBA, which is called the ACB. And they pay them plenty of money. And so my ex-husband was extremely attractive. And again, you 7'1", you walk in the room, everybody know you play basketball. Everybody think you famous. Women throwing their panties at you, you know. And my mother, he drove a Mercedes. And so my family was like, they were proud that he was my boyfriend. And so when I called the police on this, and I didn't call the police all the time. I called the police when I thought I was going to die. And so he was locked up. My mother called, and she asked where he was, and I said, he's in jail. It was the first time I said anything to anybody. I was just exhausted, exasperated, beat up, and I have my small child with me, and I'm just tired. And I thought I don't know, could cry to my mother. And she said, "What you do, Jolanda?"
Wow.
Which I didn't do anything. We ain't talked for a good 6 months. And so we that's been resolved. So people always think that if you get hit, it's your fault. It's not. He would drink a lot. He would drink like a 12-pack of beer every day and was just very angry. He didn't appreciate that his drinking and his laziness was making it difficult for him to stay with the team. He'd wanted to be with San Antonio. So when he got drafted by the Sixers, they were going to sign him to a contract. He didn't think they were paying him enough money, so he went to Europe, Spain specifically, and played for a team called Única Ronda in Malaga, Spain, and made a lot of money there. But the ACB is not the NBA, right? But then he told the Sixers that if they drafted him, that he would play with them because Carl Herrera, who was his best friend, had gotten drafted. I can't remember who Carl got drafted by.
He played for Houston, right?
He ended up playing for Houston, but Carl wasn't originally drafted to Houston. Carl was drafted, but then Carl went and played at Real Madrid in Spain, right? So if you use a draft pick on somebody who then goes to play in Europe, you've basically wasted a draft pick, right? Nobody wants to waste a draft pick. So because they knew that Alvaro, which is my ex-husband's name, Alvaro Teheran, the Sixers says, if we draft you, you're going to play for us, right? Because you can't coach 7'1". And he said yes, and they drafted him, and he went to Spain. And then he wanted to get back to the NBA because the Spanish league, they're just brutal there. If you've never been to a professional game over there, it's different. But they used to call my ex Juan Valdez because my ex was Colombian. Juan Valdez is a coffee guy. Mm-hmm. They throw cans at you and everything. It's
While
wild.
you're on the court?
Yes, and they smoke in the stadiums. It's very interesting. But anyway, so he was just very, very, very frustrated. Another time, my son, I'd come home, I was studying, I had a lot of homework. My son, who was maybe a year and something, he really wasn't talking. And the only people that talk to little kids when they can't talk are their grandparents. true story. So my son was on the phone talking to my mother. He was sitting on side of the bed, so you really couldn't see him on this side of the bed because he was sitting, and my mother was talking to him, and he was looking at the phone. So Alvaro came and he was very, very, very upset because he was just angry because he couldn't get back into the NBA, and he took it out on me and he jumped on me. Again, he's 7'1", 265. I'm 6 foot, 165. I can't fight that, and I don't fight who I love anyway. And so he jumped on me, straddled me, and started strangling me, and I was losing consciousness. Now the whole time, Giovanni, who's my son, is on the side of the bed talking to my mother. Well, he couldn't talk, but my mother was talking to him on the phone, and I knew that. Alvaro didn't because he had come from the living room, and I was able to knee him in the nuts. And of course, you know how y'all are with y'all's nuts, y'all. It's like the gems, and he released to my throat and if you've never been strangled, you literally cannot yell. You cannot get air, you cannot breathe, and you start passing out. So he's strangling me. He's got all his weight on my neck. I can't scream. I have the wherewithal to knee him in the nuts. He releases my throat, grabs his stuff. I scream to my mother, "Mama, call 911." Like, call 911. And I'm screaming because I was like, because I had to get air. And my mother called 911. And then he starts scrambling, trying to get me to undo it. He hung up the phone because he didn't realize Gio was on the phone with my mom. He hung up the phone and 911 called me back. So my mother told him where I was, and he got arrested that night as well. So back to what you asked me at the beginning, like, you're strong and smart and wise. I was not always like this.